David's small house stood stubbornly against the storm, its roof creaking with every gust of wind and rain hammering against the windows. He had always known the winter storms in this part of the country could be fierce, but tonight felt different. The wind seemed alive, as if it were searching for something or someone. David hurried around the house, tightening shutters and checking the propane tanks for the stove. The storm had come suddenly, leaving the town with little warning. Inside, his daughter, Lily, lay in her small bed, tucked under her favorite quilt that her late mother had made. She hummed softly to herself, her eyes wide as she stared at the ceiling. Her room was small but cozy, decorated with glow-in-the-dark stars and planets. She loved to dream about space, about distant worlds and strange creatures that humans had never seen. It was a habit David encouraged, even if he sometimes worried that her imagination was too big for the quiet town they lived in. "Dad," she called softly, "do you think there are real aliens out there?" "I think you'll see plenty of interesting things, but for now, get some sleep." Grabbing a flashlight and a jacket, he stepped into the storm, rain soaking through his clothes almost immediately. The yard was almost invisible in the darkness, twisted branches scattered across the wet grass. Then he saw it, a glowing shape lying near the edge of the woods just beyond the fence. At first, he thought it was some kind of debris from the storm, but as he got closer, the shape moved slightly, weakly. David's instincts kicked in. He had to help. He ran to the figure and saw that it was not human, or at least not entirely. The being had delicate, smooth features glowing faintly in the storm. Her eyes were closed, and her chest rose and fell slowly. She wore a strange suit, metallic and shining in the rain, with markings that pulsed softly with light. "Are you okay?" David asked, though he doubted she could understand him. The figure groaned and stirred, opening eyes that were unlike anything he had seen. They shimmered with colors he couldn't name, deep and brilliant, yet filled with pain. He didn't hesitate. With effort, he lifted her into his arms, feeling how light she was despite her size. Her suit seemed damaged, smoke rising from a small crack in the chest area. He wrapped her in a blanket and carried her inside, shutting the door behind him and sealing out the storm. Lily, drawn by the noise, peeked from her doorway. She gasped, covering her mouth with her hands. Her eyes went wide as she saw the figure in David's arms. "Dad, is that?" she whispered. David shook his head. "I don't know, Lily, but she's hurt. We need to help her." "Her name is Lysera," a voice whispered in his mind. David jumped, startled. The voice was not loud but clear, almost like someone speaking directly into his thoughts. "You can talk to me?" he asked, unsure if he was imagining things. "Yes," Lysera replied faintly. "I need help. My ship is destroyed. I am stranded." An alien, literally from another world, was lying in his home, injured and communicating telepathically. Part of him wanted to panic, but another part, the part that had raised Lily on his own after her mother's death, felt only compassion. "We'll take care of you," he said firmly, "but you need to stay quiet. Lily, you must promise not to tell anyone." She made soft humming sounds that seemed almost musical, and David realized the being was trying to relax. As he worked, Lily approached, her curiosity stronger than her fear. "Can she fly, Dad?" she asked softly, eyes wide. David hesitated. "I don't know, Lily. I don't even know if she's what she is exactly. But let's just help her, okay? Child rare, potential extraordinary." David kept the alien hidden, feeding her water and makeshift nourishment. He patched her suit as best as he could with duct tape and old tools, doing everything he could think of to stabilize her. Outside, the storm raged, but inside the house, a quiet tension filled the air. As the night grew late, Lily lay in her bed again, whispering to her father. "Dad, do you think she's really a princess?" And somewhere in the storm-battered house, Lysera rested, her hand glowing faintly even in sleep, sensing the child's imagination and hidden gift. The storm outside did not stop. It pounded against the house with unrelenting force, as if testing David, Lysera, and Lily. But inside, the family of 2 humans and 1 alien faced the night together, unaware that their lives were about to change in ways they could never have imagined. As David sat by Lysera's side, watching over her through the long hours of the night, he felt something stirring deep inside him. It was not fear, though the danger was real. It was a sense of purpose, a certainty that he had made the right choice by helping this mysterious being. And then faintly the alien spoke again in his mind. "You have protected life, courage, hope. Childa will fly beyond the stars." Something extraordinary had entered their lives, and he realized that the quiet nights he had once taken for granted were over. Their world was bigger than he had ever imagined, and the adventure had just begun. By the time the storm passed, the first light of dawn seeped into the windows. Lily awoke to the soft glow of the morning and crept into the living room, finding Lysera awake and sitting quietly on the couch, watching her with glowing, intelligent eyes. "Good morning," Lily whispered. Lysera inclined her head, a faint hum escaping her lips. David joined them, brushing damp hair from his forehead, a small smile on his face. "Morning," he said. For a moment all three were silent, simply existing together in the calm after the storm. Outside, the world was still ordinary, but inside, possibilities stretched far beyond Earth. David did not know how long Lysera could stay, nor did he know the dangers her presence might bring. But he knew one thing clearly: he would protect her, and he would protect Lily. And somehow he had a feeling that his daughter's dreams of flying beyond the stars might not remain dreams for long. The day after the storm, the world seemed quiet again, but David could feel that nothing would ever be the same. Lysera rested on the couch, her glowing markings fading slightly in the daylight. She moved slowly, her limbs still stiff from the crash. David had managed to stabilize her condition, but he knew she needed more than makeshift care. "Dad," Lily said as she entered the living room, her eyes wide, "is she really going to be okay?" She had spent the whole night staring at the glowing figure, feeling that something extraordinary had entered her life. Lysera opened her eyes and focused on the child. A faint hum escaped her lips, soft and melodic, and the air seemed to vibrate slightly. "Child," Lysera whispered in David's mind, her voice gentle but full of meaning, "you have something rare." "What do you mean, rare?" She could feel it, a small, buzzing warmth inside her chest, as if her dreams of flying and exploring space were suddenly alive in a way she couldn't explain. Over the next few days, David continued to care for Lysera, keeping her hidden from the curious neighbors and prying eyes. The storm had damaged parts of the town, and many people were preoccupied with repairs, giving David a little cover. He scavenged medical supplies, tools, and food, and learned to communicate with Lysera slowly through her telepathic signals. Meanwhile, Lily spent hours beside Lysera asking questions about the universe. "Do you live on a planet far away?" she asked one afternoon. "Yes," Lysera replied, her voice gentle in David's mind. "World of light, of energy, of sky, beyond your sun." It was unlike anything he had ever seen, an unspoken connection stronger than any human bond he had experienced. Then something extraordinary began to happen. While playing with small toys on her bedroom floor, Lily noticed that they began to hover gently in the air when she concentrated. A toy rocket lifted an inch off the ground, spinning slowly before settling back down. Lily gasped. "Dad." "Look," she called. David rushed in, and his eyes widened as he saw the toys floating slightly. "Lily, what did you do?" "What kind of ability?" "Like in the stars." As the day progressed, David noticed subtle changes. Lily could sense Lysera's moods, her intentions, even her thoughts. When Lysera moved her hands slightly, objects responded to Lily's presence, gently floating or glowing in response. David realized that the connection was growing stronger every day. But the outside world was not idle. Unseen by David, strange figures watched from a distance, using technology beyond anything he had ever seen. Their focus was Lysera, the Empress of a distant star system, and they were determined to capture her. These shadowy agents were precise, relentless, and patient. They had already traced the energy signature from the crash, and it would not be long before they arrived. One evening, David and Lily were sitting near Lysera, helping her stabilize her suit. Lily's hands brushed against the alien fabric, and suddenly the room was bathed in a soft, shimmering light. Objects began to drift, responding to her emotions and concentration. David felt a thrill of fear and wonder. "Lily," he said softly, "you have to control it. We can't let anyone see this yet." Human spirit, unusual, resilient, capable of understanding beyond others. She was growing, awakening something incredible inside her. One night while David was checking the windows, he felt the hairs on the back of his neck stand up. A shadow moved across the yard, silent, fast, and precise. His heart raced. He grabbed a flashlight and peered into the darkness, seeing nothing but rain and broken branches. Then a faint glow appeared in the distance, a scanning device of some kind moving methodically across the property. "They've found us," David whispered, urgency creeping into his voice. Inside, Lysera stirred. "Yes, detection imminent, protection must begin." He was a simple man, not trained for combat or espionage, and yet here he was, protecting an alien Empress and his daughter who might have the greatest potential of all. "We need to move her," David said, urgency in his tone. "We can't fight them here, we're not ready." "Child, stay calm, you have power stronger than danger, unseen potential must guide." "Dad, are we really going to leave?" A faint beam of light connected them, and Lily felt warmth and energy flowing through her. She instinctively raised her arms, and a small object, a toy rocket, rose into the air and hovered steadily. She giggled, amazed by the control she suddenly felt. "See," Lysera said in her mind. "Strength, guidance, courage, human spark, rare, remarkable." He realized that Lily's abilities were not just strange or magical. They were extraordinary. Human courage, love, and creativity had awakened something that even an alien Empress could not fully understand. Outside, the shadows moved closer, but inside, David, Lily, and Lysera were connected in a way that could not be broken. They were a small family facing dangers beyond their world, yet strengthened by trust, hope, and the unshakable human spirit. As night fell, David knew the storm was only beginning, not just the literal one, but the storm of challenges, threats, and discoveries that lay ahead. But for the first time, he felt a spark of confidence. Whatever came, he, Lily, and Lysera would face it together, and maybe, just maybe, they could show the universe the power of humans, the courage, intelligence, and heart that made them capable of anything. The night air was cold and heavy, carrying the distant sound of sirens and the faint hum of machinery far off in the town. David and Lily had prepared a small safe room in the basement, barricading the door with old furniture and supplies. Lysera rested on a makeshift bed, her glowing markings pulsing softly, as if sensing the approaching danger. David peered through a small window at the shadows moving outside. They were precise, coordinated, and silent. He couldn't tell exactly how many there were, but he knew they were tracking Lysera. His heart pounded in his chest. This was not a normal storm. They were dealing with beings capable of extraordinary technology, and he was just a man trying to protect his daughter and a mysterious alien. "Dad," Lily whispered, pressing herself against him. "Are they going to take her?" "Power potential, awakened, must act to survive to protect." "We'll do it together." "We leave now, fastest route. Safest path, must avoid detection, courage, heart, guide you." If he panicked, everything would be lost. Once outside, Lily's small hands brushed against Lysera's as they ran. A faint glow followed them, creating a subtle shield that seemed to bend light and energy around them. David noticed it immediately. "What's happening?" he whispered. Lysera's voice was calm. "Child power protect, energy responds, trust, control, must focus." They moved quickly, navigating through the storm-damaged town. Broken branches, debris, and puddles slowed them, but Lily's emerging abilities helped them avoid obstacles. Objects shifted slightly in their path, creating small bridges or clearing obstacles, as if the world itself responded to her focus. Finally, they reached an abandoned barn at the edge of town. Lysera had spotted it earlier, sensing its structural integrity and safety. David and Lily moved inside, sealing the doors as best they could. The space was small but secure, and for the moment they could breathe. Inside, Lysera turned to David. "They will not stop, not easily, must prepare, teach child to harness potential fully now. Good heart, courage, human spark, extraordinary, now focus." She could lift heavier objects, create small protective barriers, and even sense the movements of the shadows outside with uncanny accuracy. David watched in amazement. "Lily, you're incredible," he whispered. Lily looked at him, glowing with determination. "I just want to help, Dad. I want to protect you and Lysera." Human courage inspires, child potential grows stronger, must be ready. "David," Lysera said, her voice urgent. "We must move now, escape, fastest route your world, limited, danger, persistent." When the shadows tried to move closer, the barrier repelled them just enough to delay detection. David realized that her power was no longer just latent, it was active and effective. They moved quickly through the woods, the night heavy with rain and wind. David led the way, relying on his knowledge of the terrain, while Lysera guided them silently, her glowing presence faint but comforting. Lily stayed close, sensing energy and movement and subtly manipulating the objects around her to help clear their path. At one point, a shadow appeared ahead, scanning the path with a glowing device. David froze, heart pounding. But Lily stepped forward slightly, focusing, and the device malfunctioned, spinning out of control before shutting down. David stared in disbelief. Lily, you did that? Finally, they reached the outskirts of the town, where the damaged storm roads led to a hidden field. Lysera guided them to a small depression in the ground, covered by broken trees and debris. There, hidden from view, lay a small, partially repaired craft, Lysera's own ship, though limited in function after the crash. David stared at it. This is going to fly. Yes, requires energy, skill, focus, courage, child, potential. Lysera moved beside her, guiding her with soft pulses of energy, teaching her how to sense the controls, the flow of energy, and the ship's limited functions. For the first time, David realized that his daughter's dreams of flying among the stars might not remain dreams. They were becoming real. The shadows outside had finally detected the energy field of the ship, but by then, Lily was in full control, guided by Lysera and David's encouragement. She lifted the ship slowly off the ground, feeling the strange hum of alien engines beneath her hands. David's heart raced, but he knew she could do it. As the ship rose, the shadows tried to move closer, but Lily's emerging powers created a subtle energy field around them. The rain and storm swirled, but she remained focused, steady, and brave. David realized in that moment that human courage, creativity, and determination were more powerful than anyone, including highly trained alien agents, could ever anticipate. The ship floated above the field, and Lysera whispered encouragement into David's mind. Child, extraordinary, human, remarkable, must continue, must survive, must protect. You really are. David realized something profound. Humans were unpredictable, resourceful, and incredibly resilient. It was why Lysera had been so drawn to them. As the first streaks of dawn began to light the horizon, David, Lily, and Lysera rose higher, leaving the storm and danger behind. For the first time, David felt hope. Their journey was only beginning, but he knew one thing clearly. Humans, even children, had a spark that could light the universe, and that spark was now guiding them forward. The sky above was pale with the first light of morning, but David hardly noticed it. His eyes were fixed on the small craft hovering a few feet above the ground, its engines humming gently. Lysera moved beside him, her glowing form calm yet alert, as if she could sense every ripple in the air and every movement of the shadows that still lingered beyond the forest. Lily's small hands gripped the controls of the craft, her knuckles white with concentration. Every part of her being seemed focused, as if her dreams of flight were no longer imaginary. They were tangible, real, and alive. David held his breath, unsure if she could actually lift them all safely into the sky. Lily, Lysera's voice entered her mind, soft but firm. Focus. Feel the energy. Let it flow through you. Trust yourself. She adjusted her hands slightly, sensing the pulsing energy beneath the controls, feeling the hum of alien technology respond to her will. Slowly, carefully, the craft rose another few feet, then leveled. David exhaled slowly, relief washing over him. You're doing it, Lily. You're really doing it. One of the shadowy agents had crept closer, likely searching for the source of the energy. David tensed, ready to intervene, but Lysera's voice cut through his thoughts. Do not interfere. Let the child control. Human potential extraordinary. Trust. The shadowy figure froze, scanning the area, then retreated slightly, confused by the invisible barrier. David's eyes widened in astonishment. You did that, he said softly. I think I did, Lily replied, her voice a mixture of awe and pride. Lysera's glow brightened faintly. Child, remarkable, courage, heart, ready for more. We must move. The agents would regroup, and their technology was far superior. He glanced at the craft, then at Lily. All right, sweetheart, let's get out of here. David marveled at how far they had come, yet he knew the real challenge was only beginning. As they flew over hills and rivers, Lysera began teaching Lily to sense the craft as an extension of herself. Feel its energy, feel the flow, you are part of it, as it is part of you. She could feel it, the engines pulsing, the hum of energy running through the hull, and something else, something subtle, almost like the heartbeat of the universe itself. She directed the craft gently, feeling the wind brush against her as if guiding her. Excellent, Lysera whispered. Human intuition, extraordinary, rare, child, potential, limitless. His little girl, just a child, was controlling an alien spacecraft with skill, courage, and intuition that far surpassed any training he could imagine. His pride swelled, mingled with a deep sense of hope for humanity. Suddenly, a warning light flashed on the craft's console. David peered over Lily's shoulder. What is it? Pursuers, faster, stronger, closing, must act quickly. Focus and trust your instincts, She directed the craft upward in a swift arc, using a combination of Lysera's guidance and her own emerging abilities. The beam missed them by inches, scattering trees and debris far below. David exhaled, his heart racing. "That was close," he whispered. "We are not safe yet," Lysera said. "Child must harness power, fully courage, focus, now." This is incredible," David said quietly. Humans really are something else." She could control the craft, manipulate energy, and even sense danger before it arrived. For the first time, she understood the true meaning of courage, not the absence of fear, but the ability to act despite it. As they reached higher altitudes, the landscape below turned into a patchwork of forests, rivers, and mountains. The agents on the ground were losing track, their devices unable to respond to the child's rapidly growing powers. David realized that Lily's abilities were not just unusual. They were extraordinary, unmatched by any known species. Suddenly, Lysera's glow intensified, and her voice echoed in both David and Lily's minds. "Prepare approach space thresholds must test child potential fully now. But you must be brave, trust yourself. Human spirit guides all." Slowly, she directed it higher and higher, passing the upper atmosphere where the sky turned dark and stars began to appear. David's breath caught in his throat. They were leaving Earth behind, rising above the clouds and into the vast expanse of space. The sheer beauty of the universe struck him, a sky filled with stars, distant planets, and endless possibilities. "Wow," Lily whispered. It's real, I can really fly." Human courage, ingenuity, and heart had made this moment possible, and he realized that the species he belonged to had potential beyond anything Lysera had ever imagined. Suddenly, a distant flash appeared, a streak of light moving toward them at incredible speed. David tensed. "What's that?" "Pursuers advanced, capable, must evade, child, potential, focus, now." David whispered, awestruck. "Lily, you're amazing, they can't touch you." "Yes, courage, heart, human spark, extraordinary, limitless, child, potential, infinite." Human spirit, he realized, was something even advanced aliens could admire. By the time they settled into a safe orbit around a nearby planet, David was exhausted but exhilarated. Lily sat back, glowing softly with energy, a mixture of triumph and amazement on her face. "You did it," David said softly. "You really did it." "We did it, Dad, all of us together." But one truth stood clear. Humans, no matter how small or young, had a spirit that could shape the universe, and that spark now guided his daughter among the stars. The stars stretched endlessly around them, glittering like diamonds in the dark velvet of space. David floated in the small cabin of the craft, his hands gripping the console as he glanced at Lily. She sat at the controls, her eyes shining with determination and awe. Every movement she made was precise, her small hands guiding the alien craft through the void with an ease that David could hardly comprehend. Lysera hovered nearby, her glowing form radiant and calm. She observed both of them silently, her presence comforting yet powerful. Child, extraordinary potential, fully awakened, now must face final challenge, courage, heart, human spirit, leads. Yes, trust, focus, courage, human spark, remarkable, limit, none. David's stomach tightened. "Lily, we can't fight them all, we need a plan." Her confidence surged. "We can do this," she said softly. "We just have to be smart and work together." He glanced at her, realizing that she was no longer just his daughter. She was a force of human potential, capable of things that could rival the most advanced beings in the galaxy. Lily's small hands moved over the controls. Her eyes closed for a moment as she concentrated. Energy flowed from her, subtle at first, then stronger, creating a shimmering barrier around the craft. The enemy ships fired beams, but the energy shield absorbed them, redirecting the blasts harmlessly into space. David gasped in astonishment. "You did that," he whispered. Lily nodded, determination shining in her eyes. "I think I'm doing it, Dad." Child, human, courage, remarkable, now use potential fully, protect, survive, prevail. Lily reacted instinctively, redirecting beams, lifting debris from nearby asteroids, and creating barriers that pushed the enemy ships back. The craft shook under the strain, but Lily's focus never wavered. David marveled at her skill, realizing that humans had something no advanced alien fleet could predict: adaptability, intuition, and unyielding courage. One of the enemy ships fired a high-energy missile directly at them. David felt his stomach drop. "Lily, now." I didn't know I could do that," she exclaimed, eyes wide with awe. Lysera's glow brightened and her voice resonated in their minds. Human courage, ingenuity, child potential, extraordinary, unmatched, must continue lead. She could feel the rhythm of the energy, the flow of the craft, and the pulse of the universe around her. She guided the ship in a series of sharp maneuvers, dodging attacks, and weaving through the void with grace and precision. David watched, realizing something profound. Humans were not just resilient, they were unpredictable, adaptable, and capable of inspiring hope even in impossible situations. Lily's courage was not just her own, it was a spark that drew strength from the human spirit itself. Suddenly, a large vessel from the enemy fleet broke formation, attempting a direct boarding maneuver. David tensed. "They're trying to get inside the ship. We're doing it together." Each move was guided by instinct, courage, and an understanding that went beyond training, something uniquely human. David realized that the true strength of humans was not in technology or brute force. It was in courage, creativity, and heart. Humans could adapt, improvise, and inspire others, even in the most impossible circumstances. Finally, after what felt like hours, the enemy fleet began to retreat. Their attacks became disorganized, and the shields of the craft, guided by Lily, proved too strong and unpredictable. The fleet, unable to anticipate the human ingenuity and courage, withdrew into the darkness of space. David exhaled deeply, relief flooding through him. We did it," he whispered. Lily looked around the craft, exhausted but triumphant. We really did it, Dad. You've shown them and shown the universe what humans can do." They had faced impossible odds, discovered powers beyond comprehension, and escaped a fleet of advanced enemies. But one thing was clear: humanity, even a single child, could change the course of events in the galaxy. Their courage, creativity, and spirit were forces that no enemy could fully predict or overcome. Lily sat back, gazing out at the stars. "Dad, do you think we'll find other worlds? Other people like me?" Child, human, extraordinary, courage, ingenuity, heart, potential, unmatched, must continue, explore, teach, inspire, universe. For a long moment they floated in the vastness of space, the craft steady, the stars endless around them. The danger had passed, at least for now, but the lessons they had learned, the courage they had shown, and the potential they had discovered would guide them forever. Lily looked at her father, then at Lysera. "I feel like we can really do anything now." "Yes, Lily, with courage, love, and your amazing heart, humans can do anything." Humanity had a spark that could ignite worlds, and in his daughter he saw that spark shining brighter than ever. With courage, creativity, and heart, they would continue to explore, to protect, and to show the universe the power of humans, the human spirit that no challenge, no enemy, and no darkness could ever extinguish. For Lily, the dream of flying among the stars was no longer a dream. It was reality, a reality born from courage, love, and the limitless potential of humanity. And David knew that no matter what the universe held, they would face it together, guided by the spark that made humans truly extraordinary.